Hey everyone, Declan and I are in the makerspace and we're going to show you how to use the 3D printer once you've created your first thing on Tinkercad. So let me switch over to the monitor view. So Declan created this penguin. This is one of his first creations in Tinkercad, and he's going to be one of the first people to print off. So you can see that this creation was completely made by himself. He made sure that everything's grouped together and that there's no gaps within it. So the first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to have to click export on the top right here. And we have a couple options. We are going to export it for 3D printing, and we're going to make it an STL. So I'm going to click STL. I'm going to see it download right here onto the computer. And you could click here to open it right away. And if you're using one of these laptops, in the back it comes pre-installed with the software that XYZ Printing uses. And it's pretty much just going to open it up in their software. You might get a prompt to download the new software or whatever. You can just ignore that for the time being. Cool. So you can see it looks a little bit different, but it lets me see what the base of the 3D printer looks like. It's all right here. And pretty much you can add a couple things here. You can even edit it if you want to. But all that we are really going to use this for is to export again. And when we export it, we are going to export it in a way that the 3D printer would be able to print. So you can do good, excellent, normal. I'm going to keep it at good for this one. And we have the XYZ Jr 1.0 as our printer. Simply going to click export. And then it's going to say, hey, where do you want to save it? This, actually, let me cancel out and show you. This right here is where you are actually going to need the memory card. And what we do with these laptops right here, they actually have a built-in memory card reader. So you're just going to plug that in right there. And then this is just going to open up like this. I don't really need to view anything in here. I'm just saving a file here. So I'm going to exit out. I'm going to go back to export. And instead of just saving it anywhere, I'm going to find where I can access that memory card. Under computer, you'll see it, and you'll see I even see it over here. It's called SD card. And there's a couple other prints here. And I'm going to rename this. I'll call it Declan's Penguin. Oops. And click Save. And you see the file type is something a little bit weird. It says 3W. So what this software does is it's something called slicing. It's pretty much just rendering it so that this 3D printer can understand it. Sometimes if you enable it, it'll add a raft or a brim onto it as well. So it's going to pop up with all these details. You really don't nearly need a whole lot, but this is exactly what it's going to do on the 3D printer. Okay, and you can see everything sticking out. It's hard to kind of differentiate the sides, but that's the reality when we print out. And these little strips on the side are actually the test strips that it does first before it starts to print. So it is saved on my memory card. So I'm simply going to exit out of this, and then I am going to make sure I eject my memory card. So I could click down on the bottom here and eject it. This one right here. Eject that micro SD card. And that is where I am going to simply unplug this. Pull this out right here, my memory card. Now, let me move you over to the 3D printer a little bit so you can see this a little better. You are actually going to then plug this into the 3D printer. I'm going to open this up, and you'll see right in the center here is where I'm going to push this in. And it'll snap in perfectly, just like that. I can close it again. First option, build from card. I click OK. And it's going to pull up all of these different files that are on here. There's a couple other student stuff on here, but you'll see the file name Declan's Penguin is right there. That's what I just called it. So I'm going to use Declan's Penguin and then click OK. It says start building. Scroll down, click OK. And then it's going to check that file to make sure everything's perfect with it. And you can start to see that my 3D printer is getting into position. Now, a normal print will take at least an hour, if not more, depending on how big it was. This one, it's a pretty big one. I'd say maybe 2.5, 3 hours. So the first thing that's going to happen is this big piece right here, I recommend you usually don't touch it, is called the extruder. And that's where, you guessed it, the plastic extrudes or comes out of to start printing on the bed. And you'll hear a fan because it's trying to cool itself down, because it does generate a lot of heat in order to melt that plastic to start 3D printing. And you'll even have a little status update here too, where it'll tell you how hot it is and what it's actually doing. So it's kind of cool to sit here and watch, but we're not going to spend this video doing that. Hopefully you now know how to do this, so you'll be able to take something that you've created on Tinkercad and print it out. And as always, don't forget you need teacher permission before you print it out. And you, as this video involves, need to be 3D printer certified in the makerspace. Okay? Good luck, and I look forward to seeing all the cool things you guys will print.